In today's constitutional silver hunt, we'll be looking through 64 Kennedys, Washington quarters, and a bag of Barbers and SLQs. Hey everybody, it's Rob with RobFindsTreasure, and that's right, a lot of you have asked me to do even more of my constitutional or junk silver purchase hunts, and I felt like going ahead and doing another one for you guys today. Now I picked up a bag full of 64 Kennedys. I'll be checking for the DDOs and TDOs and QDOs. We've already scored one in a recent hunt, hoping to score another one. I've also got a bag full of Washington quarters. I'll be checking for any errors or varieties. Maybe there'll be one or two that upgraded my album as well. If that happens, we'll bring you in. And then finally, I got my largest purchase of SLQ and Barber quarters, as well as some Barber Dimes I've ever done. $55.90 face for those bad boys right there. To start it off, we're going to kick it off with the 64 Kennedys. What I'm going to do is stack them up, go through them. If I run across something under the mic that's suspicious, I'll bring you in. Otherwise, I'll give you a wrap up for those. I'm eager to get this hunt started. So with that being said, let's get it started. So I went ahead first and foremost and decided to stack my 64 Kennedy halves into higher grade examples, not as high grade examples, and then some pretty low grade examples here. That way I know which ones I need to spend a lot more time under the microscope with, which I have set up right here and on the screen, ready to take a look at them. Now I'm going to go through the process of putting each one of these under the microscope, and like I said, we're checking for the DDO, the TDO, and the QDO. The DDO is the doubled die obverse, the TDO is the tripled die obverse, and then the QDO, of course, is the quadrupled die obverse. I'll be checking it mostly on the word liberty, as well as on the we trust and in God we trust the motto. Let me go ahead and get started on that. And like I said, if I find something, I'll bring you in. Otherwise, I'll give you the wrap up. So I'm most of the way through the 64 Kennedys, and I've been checking the 64 Ps and the Ds for the DDOs, and of course the TDOs and QDOs like I mentioned earlier. I've got a 64D under the scope, and on the 64D, the least common DDO is the FS108. It's going to be hard to show you, but you can notice doubling on the R and the U especially. It's hard to see in this picture because it's not a great zoom in. But you also can notice it on the top of the Y and a little bit on the T. So let me switch to my scope. I'm going to show you this one I have under the microscope, and it has all the markers. You can see doubling on the R. You can see doubling on the U. And if I rotate it a little bit more, I can give you probably a better look at that doubling on the R and the U. And if I continue to rotate it, you can see doubling on that last serif of the T. And when I bring it up to the main markers on it for the Y, you can see the double serifs on the top of the Y as well. It's ever so slight. That's why it's not a very valuable one. But I pretty much am certain that we have found an FS108 64D DDO. Makes me happy to add it to my collection. It's one I didn't have. It's not a terrible example, probably low mint state at best, but I'll take it. We'll sleeve it up here in a minute. I've got another handful to go through. Let's see if we can find some more. All right, we've got the 64 Kennedy halves checked. Obviously, last week I added that 64 QDO. I'll take that all day. And today we'll add the 64 DDO. Can't get mad at that. That's why I like to buy silver lots. You never know if they inspected them close up under the microscope. We've got a couple of keepers under there. Now we're going to move on to the quarters. I'll separate them by year first. This is everything from 1932 to 1950. I only took the quarters from 1950 and earlier for this lot. Let me get them separated, and then we'll see if we have any semi-key or possibly key dates. And if we don't, we'll be checking for any of the doubling. So I finished going through the George Washington quarters, and at the end of the day, I did check my 37s for any of the DDOs. I also checked the 42D, the 43P, and the 43S to see if we had any DDOs as well. None of that was found. I even had a couple of 1950s here. One was a D, it wasn't the D over S, and the other one was an S, wasn't the S over D. So no awesome scores in the quarters. We did find 3 under 10 million minted quarters. This one's pretty toasty, but it is a 1938 Philadelphia. I'll take that all day. 9.47 million minted. It's toasty. It's pretty much melt, but it's still cool to see it. The toning's odd, but the detail's actually pretty good on this 1939 Denver minted quarter. Only 7.1 million minted. Not in terrible shape. It is a better date. Not highly valuable, but still a good find. And then finally, the other quarter I found under 10 million minted was a 1949 Philadelphia minted Washington quarter, sitting right around 9.3 million minted. Again, not in the greatest of shape, but always cool to find 3 quarters that are a better date under 10 million minted in your purchase. That being said, we'll get these all sleeved up. I will check the best of every year in mint to see if they upgraded my album. If they do, I'll give you a peek at that. If not, we'll move on to the bag that I've been waiting to hunt. This is $55.90 in a nice goodie bag of SLQs and Barbers. So I went through the quarters, checked against my album, and really only a 47 Philadelphia was able to be upgraded, only slightly, so no sense showing you that. Now, let's have some fun with some old constitutional silver, and I'll get these stacked by denomination and design. So SLQs and Barbers for the quarters, and then of course any Barber Dimes, and if I find a seeded or two in here, I'll show you that as well. Man, that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we got the Barbers and SLQs situated. I got 2 big stacks of Barbers to go through, 3 big stacks of SLQs, small stack of Barber Dimes, and this completely slicked out dime. Looks like it's a seeded. Probably won't get a date on it at all, but always fun to find them. That being said, I do want to point out that the majority of these coins are pretty much coal, but we got them at a good price. I'm hoping to catch something that maybe my dealer missed, like a better date or a better mint mark that possibly he didn't see. Now, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to find any dated SLQs before 1925. That would be a bonus. I'm also going to be checking to see if I have any variety ones in there as well. We're going to start off first with the Barber Dimes to see if there's any better dates or if any upgraded my album. Let me get those situated and I'll bring you back in. So I've got the Barber Dimes situated. Nothing before 1900 as expected. Some pretty slick examples here. Some better examples. The find of the Barber Dimes has to be this 1903 O. I think it's somewhere between F12 or fine 12 and very fine 20. We've got most of the lettering visible in Liberty. So judging by today's prices, I would expect it's probably a $10 to $15 dime. I'll take it. It's in good shape. It might even upgrade in my album. Matter of fact, there are a few decent examples in here. Not many, but I didn't expect much with only a handful of Barber Dimes. I'm going to see if this upgrades as well as any of those for my book. So I'm pretty pleased with the Barber Dimes. I was able to upgrade the 1903 O. That's the one I had in my book, believe it or not. That's quite the upgrade. And then I even had a slight upgrade in a 1913 Philadelphia. You can see the one I had in my book compared to the one I got today is nicer. So we'll go ahead and upgrade those 2 in the album. And now move on to the Barber quarters next. So we've got the Barber quarters situated. Almost every year represented. We're missing an 1893, a 1906, and 1913, of course. Like I said, a lot of these are coals, but I am missing some holes in my album, so I'm going to go through these now, check the mints on them, see what kind of goodies we may or may not have, and then I'll check them against my album to see which ones I can insert. So after all the coaling and sorting of the Barber quarters, I'm going to be able to add 6 to my album. So that's pretty good. We got an S minted 1900. We've got an O minted 1903. A Philadelphia 1905. A Denver minted 1907. A Denver minted 1910. And a Philadelphia minted 1911. These are not in the best shape, but I didn't even have them. So that's the best ones I have now. I'm going to add them to my book, and then we'll move on to the SLQs, most of which are dateless or slick. When we finish stacking up the SLQs, I've got the dateless ones right here. I've got the dateless with a mint mark, either D or S right here. My 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30s that I can read. Nothing really is good here. The only ones I looked out for were the 27 D and S, and I did not have any of those. I did have one partial date. I think the last number is either a 0 or a 9. So it's either 1919, 1920, 1929, or 1930. I did not see a mint mark. It is a type 2 or variety 2 because the bun is down, as you can see, and it's got the 3 stars on the back. I guess the funnest finds of that hunt were these 2 variety 1s. You can tell by the way the ponytail, or the bun, if you will, is facing up. And on a standard variety 2 SLQ, it's facing down. So we know that first and foremost. And when I flip them over, there is no stars located underneath the flying eagle. So that being said, we've got 2 most likely 1917 Philadelphia minted type 1 SLQs. In G4 condition, they're worth about 15 to 20 bucks, but G4 requires to be able to see the date, and we don't see that. So, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, I probably could spend a little more time on the dateless ones as well as the dateless ones with mint marks and see if I can extract a date from them. By extracting a date, I mean just spending time under the microscope, under my loupe, you name it, some kind of magnification, some kind of lighting angle changes to see if I can catch any remnants of any date. I did this pretty quickly. I looked at my 2x magnifying glass. I checked under my jeweler's loupe. Did not see a quick date, although I probably could spend more time on them. Well, that about wraps it up for today's junk silver or constitutional hunt. At the end of the day, we were able to add a lot more silver to my stack. That makes me happy. I was able to add a few barber quarters to my barber book and a new variety to my Kennedy variety album, an FS 108 1964D DDO. Hopefully you enjoyed this constitutional silver search with me. If you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, happy stacking, and thanks for watching.